All right, so I wanted to show you guys at least a couple different ways I can pull wires through the frame. There's a million different options here, so these are just two. Um, I did the backbone tonight, so I got a hole drilled up underneath the backbone tube here, big enough for two wires comfortably. Always take a Dremel bit with a round carbide tool or some sort of die grinder with a ball tip and go in the hole. That way you can actually carve out the inside of the drill hole. That way there's no burrs, no anything like that. If you have some sort of a file with a hook on it, you can do that, or some sort of rasp or ream, you can do that too. For me, I just have a ball tip die grinder basically, and that works just fine. So drill the hole. Going up through the backbone, it was actually easy enough to do. I was able to just take a piece of this kind of junk 16 gauge wire and push it on up through. I tried coming down from the top, but I hit this gas tank bolt and I didn't really feel like taking that gas tank off. So I just pushed the wire on up through, got past that bolt, and actually pushed it up basically until I could see it here. For me, the key with that kind of thing is like hold the wire to the distance that you know, where once this hand gets to like the end, you know you should be able to see it. Right, so if you do that and your hand gets up to where it's kind of in the bottoming out and you still don't see the wire, there's a good chance the wire somehow got hit or turned around or pushed back around, and then the more you feed, the more you're just pushing it back down. So keep an eye on that, but eventually you can see it in the hole. If you can't see it right away, try twisting the wire. Just twist it a bunch and it'll roll the wire around till you see it, and then just use a series of picks or pliers, pull it on through. That'll get your fish wire through. And then you can hook up, like I did here. I took a good purple and a good green. This will go to the high beam switch, and did two hooks and taped it all together. Pull it through using the pull string. Not just pulling though, like always do a combination of push-pull. That way you're not putting any more stress on the wires than you need to and rubbing against who knows what on the inside of that tube. Fish it down through. Now I have a good length here of excess. This will go to the high beam toggle switch right there. If that doesn't work, or if you know you're in for a world of pain, so if you see this hole here, I need to get from that hole down this tube. I was going to go the other tube, if you remember from the wiring diagram, but I chose to have these exposed wires come up here. I have enough of the cloth, lowbrow cloth covered wire. I have enough to actually do all these in exposed cloth wire. So I decided to do this hole on this side, kind of match up with this, since the throttle cable is going to be on the other side of the bike. A little bit cleaner this way. So I need to get from this hole all the way down the left front tube, down under, and basically to right about here in the bottom frame leg. There's a giant cross member in the frame that goes across that actually the seat post welds into, and I want to get past that. Hopefully there's no obstructions anywhere in that tube. We're about to find out. But then I also drilled a hole, basically, let me see if I can feel it. I can feel it with my finger right there. If you can see my finger down underneath, I drilled a hole right there on the back side. So that'll go over to the oil pressure switch and the neutral switch. So I got to get down this tube, and that's a long way to go with 16 gauge wire. So here's something I've done in the past. Whenever I do a house renovation project around the home, I always keep whatever leftover wire. This is, I think, 14 gauge house wire, just some light duty stuff that I had laying around. I just stripped the 14 gauge wire. You can use 12 gauge if you need to. Pull out the ground wire because it's not covered, and I'm going to fish this down because it's a little bit stronger. You'll be able to push down on it a little bit harder if you need to get around those bends without it kind of curling up. The one thing I've done noticed in the past, before you start fishing it down, do a little hook on the end of it. Reason is this sharp copper, as it's going down through the tube, as it hits on the sides, it'll grind and chop and push, and that's just a pain in the butt. If you just do a little fold, like a cotter pin type fold, then when you're pushing it down the tube, it's got this round surface pushing on the sidewalls, and it'll glide easier. Just make sure it's a crimp small enough that easily fits through your hole, because not only this hole, but down to the bottom you have to fish it out. And then I just use a once it's down there, just cheap little Harbor Freight picks to, you know, a series of these and pliers and whatever it takes, man. Just fishing it out, figuring out how to get it. So what I'll do is I'll put these on this side, and if you see, right there's the hole I gotta come out of. So definitely easier with a two-person. I might get the wife or one of my daughters out here to push down from the top and fish it through. So that's the next step.